24/7.
24/7.
Bold Moves Radio.
Bold Moves Radio.
Afrika nakupenda sana. Oh, Afrika nakupenda sana.
Africa, nakupenda sana ngo. Ladies and gentlemen, you know that when you hear the sound, it is the African experience. With me, Dr. Hlami Ngwenya. Wow, I am so excited, tonight, because this is the hour that I always look forward to, because it's the hour that I feel inspired, the hour that we learn anything and everything about the beauty of Africa, but also most importantly, to celebrate, the Africans who are doing extraordinary things. Tonight, I'm broadcasting live from Georgia. I remember when I was coming here and I was telling people I'm going to Georgia. People thought I was going to Georgia, the state in the United States. But no, I'm in Georgia, the country. We'll hear a little bit more about that. But tonight is not about Georgia, it's about the African experience. Ladies and gentlemen, you know that I'm not alone. I'm always with my beautiful, beautiful co-host, Mandla Aventina Mabunda. Mandla, good evening, my sister.
Good evening, Doc. You look so lovely. I think that place is very good to you. You are so glowing, I'm telling you. And I hope
You,
you're having a great time.
I'm sure I am. This country, the history that is written in this country is so amazing. When we first came
Wow.
here, I took, some, a country tour. And, normally I don't take wine, right? But
Mm-hmm.
we visited, this winery place. Oh my word, the history that was written there. This company was established in the 1500s, to be precise, 1533. Can you imagine?
Oh my
And they are
goodness.
doing, beautiful things. They are producing wine using, their traditional methods and all that. I couldn't help it. I had to do the wine tasting. But anyway, tonight is not about Giorgio. It's about the African experience. What do
Yes.
we have on the lineup for tonight?
Wow, I cannot wait to talk to yet another trailblazer. We are talking to none other than Mr. Rex Chapota from Malawi, all the way from Malawi. I cannot wait to hear about his story. And as you know, ladies and gentlemen, the vision, the objective of this show is all about inspiring a black child to get up and make it happen for themselves. So today we have a brilliant, brilliant man on our show, and he's going to talk to us all about that. Welcome, 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 our guest. Please say hi to the viewers and listeners at home.
Wow, what a pleasure to be on Board Moves Radio. Here speaking to you from Lilongwe, the capital city of Malawi. What an amazing day to be on this show.
The warm heart of Africa. I understand Malawi is called, the warm heart of Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our guest for tonight, Mr. Rex, Chapota. Mr. Rex is actually not new to radio, and we'll get to know about him, his journey. Maybe before we get there, who is Rex Chapota? Just in a nutshell, who are you?
Thanks, Dr. Shami. Rex Chapota is a son of Africa. I just love that. And dropped into Malawi to settle in Malawi by God. And I'm 48 years of age. And I'm one of the people who just love to see an Africa that is transformed. So when you look at me, here is a man who is saying it's possible for Africa to be better. That's how I describe myself.
Wow, I love that. That is so much in line with what this show is all about. Hence, we call it, the African experience. One of the things why we started this show, we know that Africa is always seen from the negative point of view. It's associated with poverty, it's associated with, I don't know, anything and everything negative. We know most of, our radio, mainstream radio and all that they do, profile Africa from that end. But yes, there is a beautiful story in Africa. There are people who believe that Africa can do it, and this is what this show is all about. And I'm so excited, in your introduction that, you are and actually a resemblance of what this show is all about. We really look forward to hearing about your journey and how you can inspire an African child. Mandla, maybe let me just go to you, my sister, to just start showering
Yes.
with the questions there.
What is making me smile right now is what he said. Mr. Chapota says, I was dropped by God Himself in Malawi to now bring about change in Malawi. I love that. Here on this show, we talk about godly ideas. And I mean, we have one such fellow today who's going to talk to us about that. Now, talking about family and being born in Malawi, tell us a bit about how you grew up, your family background, maybe how many you are at home, and just because we believe that charity begins at home.
Sure, Aventina. My life has been a life of ups and downs. I lost my dad at the age of 6, and he was an amazing man. Actually, he was one of the first people to be trained on agricultural radio in Malawi in around 1964-65 in Australia. And I never knew that I would do the same, in my life afterwards. So we're 6 in our family, and I am the fifth born and the last born of the boys, 2 boys in the house. And I've got a wonderful family now, married to my lovely wife, Claire. And I've got 5 children. So I've done a good job in adding to the population of Africa. And really, that's how I grew up. And I went to school in Malawi, in a government school. I was an ambitious boy. I still remember, getting number 1 to number 3 position all the time. If I don't do well, I would not feel good. In secondary school, I usually compete with my friends. We could share our exam sheets to say who is the best, and I would challenge my friends and say, go and receive my sheet, and I receive my other people's friends' sheets. So I grew up loving education, as it were, and that took me to the University of Malawi, the Mabunda College of Agriculture, who have honored me actually last week as the alumnus of the week, and I never knew it's coming, so it's
Yes.
such a humbling time. And thereafter, I went for my master's degree at SOAS at the University of London in road development. So it's been quite an interesting journey, but starting from the humble beginnings.
Wow, I love that. I love that. When you talk about the humble beginnings, but how Mother Nature is able to connect you. You are talking about, you lost your dad when you were 6, but your dad was an icon in the radio, space. And fast forward, you found yourself doing the same things. I'm sure,
Right.
you were really, really, emulating or maybe going on your dad's footsteps. I love, the humble beginnings, but I also love, the fact that you were such a self-driven person from the beginning. Man, I had an opportunity to meet, Mr. Rex in person, and wow, wow, what a trailblazer. But the energy that, this man has, it's really, really amazing. And thank you again for sharing, that journey with us. Now, the $1 million question. You studied, you went to London, you went to Bunda College in Malawi. What prompted you to actually follow your career path, especially in the agricultural sector?
Wonderful, Dr. Shami. You'll be surprised that when I went to the Bunda College of Agriculture, I felt really bad because I thought I would be an accountant. I was doing so well in mathematics. I was the best in my class. I never thought of agriculture as a career for me to pursue. Of course, fast forward now, I would have missed it because it's the best thing I've ever done in my life. So when I went to Bunda College, because I knew that I was not really an agriculturalist in my mind, in my brain, I did basically agricultural extension and economics. which is not pure science, it's more of a social science. And really, since then, I just said, wow, I chose the right career path because food is life. And when you start dealing with food, you're dealing with life. And I believe my whole life is about life because food is life. So that's what I did in college.
Maybe let me just pick on that. I have a feeling that you went to agriculture. It was not your first, career of choice, but you found yourself there. But then you got to love it when you were there. How then do we change the narrative? How do we inspire a young person to take agriculture as a career of choice, not something that they take because they couldn't be accepted in other fields? How do we do that? How do we change, that narrative?
Actually, Dr. Shami, that's one of my major movements I'm doing now to make agriculture attractive to the young people. You know, the narrative has been agriculture is synonymous to poverty. When you look at a picture of somebody doing farming, is very poor, emaciated, not happy. But little did I know, even when I grew up, that agriculture is the in thing. Actually, Dr. Adesina from the African Development Bank has said that the next billionaires of Africa shall come from agriculture. So to me, it's a lack of knowledge, but also it's the way the trajectory has been put to showcase as if agriculture is poverty. But I'm here trying to rebrand agriculture, actually, even among young people in my country, so that they can see agriculture as an epitome of business. Because agric is business, actually. And it's a good business because it's business which everybody, no matter how good, how strong, how little, wherever you need a Greek. So we need to change the narrative, and really I'm championing to make agricultural attractive to young people, and we need to start it at a tender age.
Wow, quite interesting. The story of agriculture and making it fashionable. That's what we say in South Africa. You know, a lot of youngsters, when you talk food security, you talk the livelihood of people with food, you talk food inequality. Sometimes it's almost as if they are not hearing you, you're talking above their heads. So it's interesting to see someone who is really passionate about changing that narrative, Doc. And before we carry on, I would love to acknowledge some of our listeners and viewers all the way from Malawi. We have one Verepi Madise. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, but thank you for tuning in. The name of the show is African Experience, and we are talking to a food advocate. We are talking agricultural advocates, such a refreshing focus on how to make agriculture fashionable. Now, take us through some of the highlights when you had decided now to take agriculture head on. When you have stumbled into agriculture and you started loving it, how has that journey been like for you until where you are now?
Sure, it's been an interesting journey. And actually, let me say it in this show that I don't talk agriculture, I do agriculture. You come into my compound, it's a farm compound. I've got over 6, 7 types of animals in my compound. I've got
Okay.
lots of food trees in my compound. I eat my own food, which I grow. So for me, it's not about just speaking, it's reality, and we can do it right. So really, my journey has been that knowing that agriculture is at the center of life. It has been tremendous to walk in this journey, especially when I've worked with Farm Radio International, where we're looking at sharing information on agriculture. And I remember we did realize that where knowledge flows, food grows. So it has been something which has been exciting for me because honestly, I think to have somebody sleep on a empty stomach is a crime against humanity. And as you know, many are doing that in this continent. And I believe it's agriculture that can change that scenario. That's why it has to be taken seriously, not as a second choice, not as a by the way thing. It's the real thing. And I believe our governments ought to do a lot to make sure that nobody goes to sleep hungry. And that's why I'm so committed to the agricultural path. So much so that even now, as I'm at the National Youth Council of Malawi, my flagship program at the Youth Council of Malawi, it's youth in agriculture. And actually, it's exciting because just some 7 days from now, we are launching what we're calling the National Youth Conversations in Malawi. And guess what?
Okay.
The first topic of those conversations is the role of young people in food systems transformation. So, really, agriculture is at the heart of my life.
Ah, I love that. I love that. I love that. I have, some follow-up questions, but surely we have to pay the bills. We're gonna take a short commercial break. When we come back, we have to unpack a little bit. I heard you saying something about, Farm Radio International. I want to pick on that a little bit, but we will come back. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the African Experience. We are taking a short commercial break. Don't go away.
Are you ready for the ultimate dietary powerhouse? Look no further than Masana Dietitian's Nutro Boost. Our scientifically formulated low GI food is designed to give you the boost you need to fuel your body and reach your health goals. With NutriBoost, you have the flexibility to enjoy it as a high-fiber cereal or a satisfying shake. Simply mix it with water and indulge in the mouth-watering flavors that we have to offer. But that's not all. NutriBoost is packed with essential nutrients that are beneficial for your overall well-being. Enriched with 20 immune-boosting vitamins and minerals, it's a convenient and effective way to support your immune system. And here's the best part. NutriBoost is gluten-free, egg-free, and high in omega-3, making it suitable for those with dietary restrictions or allergies. Need an energy boost? NutriBoost has you covered. It's high in energy and protein, providing you with the fuel you need to power through your day. Whether it's a busy morning or an intense workout session, say goodbye to midday slumps and hello to sustained energy with NutriBoost. Try it today and experience the difference. For orders or to become a distributor, contact us on the following details.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is the African Experience with me, Dr. Hlami Ngwenya. We are talking to such a versatile, knowledgeable person. But wow, the energy that Mr. Rex has, it's unmatched. Mr. Rex, before we went on the ad break, you were expressing how you don't, speak agriculture, but you do agriculture because you are actually a farmer by yourself. But you mentioned a little bit about, Farm Radio International. I want us to stay a little bit on that. But before I have my follow-up question, let me recognize, some of the listeners that are joining us. Also, another one from Malawi, Ines Chekwa. Thank you so much for joining from the warm heart of Africa. Sure. When we looked at your career, Farm Radio International, it's one of the organizations that you work as a CEO there. Tell us a little bit more because not everybody know what Farm Radio International is all about. What is this organization all about and what was your role as a CEO there? And then we go to maybe some of, the other functions that you had.
Wonderful. Actually, farm radio journey is part of my 16 years of life. So before I joined the National Youth Council of Malawi again in the last 2 months, I was at farm radio. And I started working with Farm Radio International in 2007, then as a national research coordinator for a 3-year program that was looking at identifying if indeed radio has a role to play in agricultural transformation in Africa. And that work was happening in 5 countries of Malawi, Uganda, Tanzania, Ghana, and Mali. And after a 3-year stint, we came to a conclusion that indeed radio has a role to play because in most of rural Africa, radio is the only source, and I mean only source of information. And because of that, we can be able to use it positively for greater good in agriculture. So after the 3-year project, Farm Radio International decided to pull out of our nation of Malawi. And I insisted to say, no, you can't pull out because there is a lot we can do. And I remember the then executive director of Farm Radio International told me and said, Rex, if you want to do this, do it, but we are going. So when they went, I started and founded the Farm Radio Trust in Malawi, of which I was a founding CEO, and I did that work for 11 years. Hear the story. They left me with seed money of around $100,000. By the time I was leaving the Malawi Farm Radio Trust, our annual budget was around 1.5 million US dollars every year. The work had just transformed. They left me with only one assistant. So we're 2 people in the office looking at each other in a desk. When I was leaving, we were over 25 members of staff. So the thing had grown. And because it had grown, Farm Radio International came back to ask me to help them in the East and Southern Africa region, where I was based in Arusha. And thereafter, they also wanted me to help them at the global level, where I was basically assisting the executive director in Canada to look at all strategic issues of Farm Radio International. So Farm Radio International is about giving voice to the farmers, sharing knowledge to farmers, and knowing that information poverty is the biggest evil that needs to be dealt with if agricultural transformation ought to happen in Africa. So that was our mandate in Farm Radio International, and it still remains one of my biggest joys in my career life. And the work in Malawi is exploding. Actually, the Malawi Farm Radio now has got its own radio station, which was my vision before I left, and has become now, there. So I've got the first farmers radio in Malawi, courtesy of the work we started in this country. So that's where we're coming from. And indeed, it's about giving voice and sharing knowledge to the people in the continent so that they can do farming right.
Wow. Wow. I have, I'm developing, some goosebumps here. Oh, wow. This is such an interesting story. Actually, it leads me to the next, question that we have. You seem to be somebody who builds, they leave you with something small, you expand it. What is your unique selling point? If you were a business, right? I know this is not an interview for a job, but it's very interesting to see what makes you unique. If you were a business, how would you sell yourself? What is that unique selling point that you'll say, this is who I am? Because you seem to have something that many people don't have.
Thank you, Hlami, for that wonderful, comments. I would say really that's what is my unique selling point. I'm somebody who sees more when there is little. I'm somebody who does not see challenges. I'm always solution centric, if I use that word. And I'm somebody who always wants to do it if nobody has done it before. I'll give you another example. I joined the National Youth Council of Malawi on 1st February this year. When I came to the National Youth Council of Malawi, the budget for the National Youth Council of Malawi was around $150,000. You're hearing me right. $150,000. And everybody was wondering, Rex, why are you going there? It's a small organization. What can you do with it? Right now, 10 weeks on the job, we have raised that $150,000 budget to over $2 million. And I just mean what I'm saying. $2 million. Just 3 weeks ago, I was at the Malawi Parliament to defend this increase in budget. And my staff were not very sure if it would work. People were saying, oh, come on, government has got no money. But I told government, if you don't fund young people in Malawi, then we're closing the country down because the youth are the future of this nation. And I'm glad that the president and his ministers heeded to the core and increased funding levels to that level, which is amazing. People can't believe it. But I think that's what I'm able to do. I don't see zero. Every time I see zero, there is a one, it's a 10. Every time I see something small, I see big. And I really see that I'm somebody who is able to amplify and make it happen. And to me, results is what keeps me busy all the time. And I'm self-motivated. You don't need to push me to do something. It's just in me to make things happen. If it doesn't happen, then Rex is not there.
Oh, Mandla, do you hear that, my sister?
I hear all that, and I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, we all need to learn. We all need to glean from that farm, because honestly, something is happening there. I mean, how do you move from hundreds, thousands to millions within a space of 10 months, especially when dealing with government with all the red tapes of supply chain and whatnot and whatnot. So truly, we're talking to a remarkable guest today. I mean, even your people are commenting here saying he will promise 60% and deliver 150%. And then someone says Rex builds I'm a living testimony of all that. So you can already tell testimonies coming from your very own people of Malawi confirming exactly what you're talking about, that you only see the light. You don't recognize or even entertain the darkness. But you know what? Sometimes we face challenges. How do you deal with challenges when something seeks to now your main goal, which is to make things happen? How do you deal with that?
Thank you, Aventina. That's $1 million question. But I think it's the way I'm wired and the way I see things in life. So for me, if you bring in a problem, to me, it's an opportunity to do something amazing and bring in a solution. As I said before, I'm always solution centric. So I've met challenges in life. As I told you, even in terms of the budget for the youth council, second day in my office, I was asking, where's fuel? They said there's no fuel. Where's toner? There is no toner. And I said, why? They say, oh, the budget is too small. On the same day, I launched what I called Youth-Centric Budget Initiative for Malawi. And it yielded results in around 8 weeks, as I have said already. So for me, when I see a challenge, ironically, it gives me energy, unlike removing energy out of me. So when I meet challenges, they fuel me to say, what can you do about it? And that's the way I've looked at life, honestly. And problems are a very good relish on my table.
Wow. I love that. I love, the energy, and I love that, you see problems as opportunities. How I wish many Africans could actually be having that. This continent will actually be, blooming and beaming, with, possibilities if we could clone, the Rexes, of this world, and have, many people who are seeing, challenges as opportunities. As much as we have a lot of, challenges on the continent, you can imagine if we have, hundreds or thousands of RECs who says every challenge that we see here, we have to actually solve it. We need to have, these possibilities. I just love that, 8 weeks into the job, you already, mobilizing, resources where maybe many other people did not actually see that. I think from what we have spoken so far, it is very clear that agriculture is your passion. You live, you breathe, you sleep, you eat agriculture, and as you said, agriculture is life. The second the second issue that I'm picking, which is so very close to your heart, is the issue of youth. And maybe let me go back to the theme for today. Ladies and gentlemen, when we invite guests, we ask them to select the theme for the day. And Mr. Rex selected the theme that says Igniting Youth for Sustainable Development. I know we might have picked a little bit why you selected that, but I still want to ask you, why did you select the theme Igniting Youth for Sustainable Development? Why is that very close to you, and what do you mean by that?
Thank you, Dr. Hlami. Actually, this theme about youth is close to my heart. And there is a reason. 70% of our African population are young people below the age of 35. And when you think about that, it's either you need to cry or think positively and say, what can we do with this? So when I look at the youth in the continent, for me, it's a demographic dividend that needs to be exploited. So when I'm looking at igniting youth for sustainable development in Africa, I want us to start looking at the youth not as a problem, but look at the youth as our greatest potential to turn around the fortunes of Africa. And what I mean is that in terms of the way we engage with them, in terms of the way we give education to them, we just need to do something extraordinary with the young people of Africa. I'll give an example. 3 weeks ago, I met a professor from my university, which I became an alumnus of the week. And he asked me and said, Rex, what are you doing at the National Youth Council of Malawi? Why? What is there? And I asked him another question myself. I said, who are you training at your college? He said, young people. And I told him, my role is to make you be accountable. Are you giving our young people the right education that can turn around the continent? So for me, I really look that young people is our greatest resource for human capital development in Africa. And it's high time we look at them as a great opportunity, as an asset, and as wealth that needs to be exploited. Otherwise, we might be sitting on a time bomb in the continent.
What a response. What a response. Mandla, my friend. Whew. What are your thoughts there, Mandla?
Inspiring stuff. And you know what? While we're trying to digest and accept all that powerful things and inspired to in ourselves, I think to just take a short break and we'll be right back. DJ Messi, can we go for an ad break, please?
Streaming 24/7. 24/7.
Bold Moves Radio.
Bold Moves Radio.
Afrika nakupenda sana. Oh, Afrika nakupenda sana.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, welcome back. This is the African Experience. This is Bold Move Radio. Actually, Rex, we could even give you that name. You are Bold Move because you are really taking bold steps in whatever you do. You really take bold steps. You said you are impact driven, and we can see if you are able to see that impact within a very short space of time. Let me acknowledge, some of our listeners there. I see John Mulewa. I'm sure he's also joining from Malawi. He's saying so powerful. And they say, wow, this is a ministerial material. I agree with you, John. While we are sitting, with a great leader here, and who can tell me that the continent of Africa does not have, the powerful people like this? Sure, we do. And this is what we do here on the show. Now, one thing that we also do on the show, we stalk our guests, before they come in. We go on their social media platforms. We try to see what they are doing before we can even invite them to come on. And during that process, we also pick, some pictures and, so I'm going to ask our DJ Messi to see some of the pictures that we found on your social media platform, and we will ask you what was happening there. DJ Messi, what pictures did we find? Okay. Rex, are you able to see that and what was happening there?
Yes, I think this is 4 days ago. This is at the United Nations headquarters in New York. And here I'm standing besides a great son of Africa, His Excellency Kofi Annan. And it was an amazing time, in New York. I was attending what they call the United Nations Youth Forum. So an amazing time, and I just connected to that photo, and I just felt good to sit in the shadows of such a great son of the soil.
And so this happened, you said, 4 days ago.
Yes.
Okay, so, and did you have a role to play there? Okay, maybe I see there's another picture. DJ Bessie, keep it going, keep it coming. That's fine. And now we see Rex in action there. I love this picture.
So this one is in a community 100 kilometers from Lilongwe. And these are young people in a community who have got a cooperative that is doing beekeeping. So they invited me to see them. And this was, I think, 2 weeks when I just started this new job at the National Youth Council of Malawi. And they said, speak to us. And I was really enjoying speaking to them. I remember when I was speaking, even when I ended, they all jumped, hugged me, and said, "You've inspired us. We've never met somebody who can inspire us like this." So it was a momentous occasion, and it's one of my lovely photos because that was my maiden field trip 2 weeks into the office at the National Youth Council of Malawi.
You know what? I wish I could be one of those audience that at least, because I don't know what you were saying to them, but the action speaks louder than words. I think I would love to see myself, as one of, those young people or adults, where you actually hold us accountable of, what we are doing, with the young people. That picture just says it all. Let's see what more other pictures we have. Okay.
So this
Yes.
one is last year. It was at the Malawi Forum for Agricultural Advisory Services, and I was the keynote speaker of that event. And I remember I was talking about how we can revamp agricultural extension in the 21st century, and it was a moving time. I still remember, the audience and how people in extension in Malawi enjoyed, that speech. So really, one of the things I do is to speak to people's hearts, and I also speak from my heart, and I always connect with them.
There was another picture that we saw. You were receiving something. Oh, okay. Maybe let's see this one. What was happening here?
Okay, so this one is actually in the chamber at the United Nations on that UN Youth Summit, which I was there in USA, New York last week. And actually, on top there is one of the young people, a female young leader in Malawi, coming almost 300 kilometers from where I stay in Lilongwe. We took her to America to see herself what's happening at the New York, and she was amazed, and she has really gotten new knowledge and new inspiration to help her even friends in Mangochi district of Malawi. So this was in New York last week.
Okay, let's see maybe one more. DJ Messi, there was one where okay, this is not the last one, but there is another one where you were receiving, I'm sure you were receiving an award or something like that. DJ Messi, are we able to see that one? Okay, Rex, this one, what was happening while we prepare the other one?
Yes, so this one is an interesting one. You know, when I joined the job as the CEO of the National Youth Council of Malawi, I decided that in my first 100 days, I'll meet every mover and shaker in Malawi as regards development. So here I'm meeting the country representative of the International Fund for Agriculture Development. And she's a wonderful doctor, and she enjoyed talking with us because IFAD has made a commitment of investing 30% of their resources to the young people. And I took her by, the promise and say, where are those investments? So it was a wonderful conversation, and I continue to meet everyone. I want within 100 days in office, I have met every mover and shaker in this nation so that I can be able to know what they have for young people of Malawi and utilize that opportunity to pitch the kind of programs that need to happen for our young people to benefit in this nation.
This is very inspiring. We will show some more picture. Oh, there is another one there.
Okay, so this is at our headquarters of my former job at Farm Radio International. And that award is the World Society for Information Award, which we received as Farm Radio International by doing innovative extension services through radio and mobile platforms. So it was a joy to be at the headquarters and hold that award, and I just loved it.
Wow, thank you so much. And I know we won't have time to show all the pictures. There was one, I'm sure you were talking at, the sauna in Malawi, which we picked, and we felt so inspired by that. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just go to the lines. I see Ronald Gondwe. Thank you so much for joining. He's saying he's watching live, from, I think, youth 36 Tingate Youth, organization. Thank you. And we also have our very, very loyal listener, Tsakani Babasa. She's feeling so inspired by what we are hearing. Thank you so, so much. The other question, you have received numerous, recognition and all that. Do you want to take us, through some of, the recognitions that we have received so far for the great work that you are doing?
Sure. Actually, so many to mention, but what comes to mind now is the award we received from the African Forum for Agricultural Advisory Services some 4 years ago or so, because our organization in Malawi was touted as the most innovative organization in extension. To me, that was awesome. But also, I received an award for my master's degree under the Commonwealth program. To me, that is also something which has been great. And really, wherever I go as an employee, you're very sure if you're going to do the Employee Award of the Year, you need to come to me, and I need to excuse you for you to get it. Because I just work hard. I just love my work. I'm somebody who doesn't work for my boss, I work for myself, and those are some of the things that I've received. And last week, I was chosen as the alumnus of the week for my college that I went to on my undergraduate. It was so humbling. I received so many comments, so many congratulations. There have been so many smart people out of that college, and to be recognized, to me, I think it was one of those humbling moments. And I just said, wow, is the college watching what their alumnus are doing, and they can humble me with this award? So those are some of the exciting awards I've received. And to me, when I receive an award, it's always humbling. It's always humbling. But I know it's because people recognize what I'm doing, and I just love doing what is right for the continent and for anything that I'm doing.
Quite interesting story. We could sit and listen to you talking about your love of agriculture, how you live agriculture and everything that has to do with agriculture. It shows in your passion. And on that note, let's not go anywhere, good people. Let's take our last ad break. And as soon as we come back, we'd like to hear more about how you relax given your timetable and your schedule and your passion for agriculture. Let's go for the ad break, DJ Messi.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the African Experience with me, Dr. Hlami Ngwenya. I'm always with my beautiful, beautiful co-host, Mandla Aventina Mabunda. We are talking to a powerhouse. You talk about energy, you talk about inspiration, you talk about excellent work, excellence. This is all what we are hearing tonight, from Rex, all the way from Malawi, from the warm heart of Africa. Let me recognize, more people that are joining online. I can see, Verepi Badisa. I think she's one of your number one fans here. For her, the takeout, message is, somebody being self-motivated and not working for a boss, but working for oneself. That is something so beautiful. Let me recognize Kent, I think Dr. Kent Mpepo, an interesting conversation, another PLO, I don't know what that means, Lumumba coming to Africa. I'm sure, that makes sense for you. But thank you so much. Yes, you are a hardworking person, you see opportunities, but what do you do to unwind when you are not working? What do you do?
What a great question. For me to unwind, it's normally going back to the originator of my life. I'm a fully committed Christian. And if I'm not working, you find me in church. And when you find me in church, most often I'm not on the pew, I'm on the pulpit. So I'm also a preacher of the word of God. And I've been doing this since my secondary school days, serving the Lord. And that's what I do. It's like if I'm not working, I'm not doing business, I'm not doing agriculture, then I'm in the house of God.
Wow. I can actually feel it. I can actually feel it. You inspire people with words. When you speak, it feels like, one wants to listen to you again and again and again. On this platform, an hour, it's never enough, really. I'm looking at the time, I'm like, no, 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 I don't think we have finished all the questions that we had prepared. What is the message that you have for a young African out there?
Thank you, Dr. Shami. My key message for an African young person is you are the one we've been waiting for. The future of Africa is not in our fathers, it's in us, the young people. Therefore, it's about deciding how you want to contribute to your continent, to your nation, to your community, to your family, and to yourself. Therefore, I want to rally young people across Africa that let's start looking at Africa positively and not only think of what our governments can do for us, but start looking at what can we even do to our governments, to our nations, because it's the way we look at issues. That's also the way it will help us to know how to handle the issues that are there. I know our young people are facing unemployment. There are no jobs in the continent. I know our young people are facing so many challenges. But the point is, let's have a conversation. Let's have a dialogue. Let's have the right skills. One of the things that I'm encouraging young people in Africa is let's get the skills that can turn around the continent. Because Africa will not develop because of somebody who has come outside of the continent. We Africans have got the
Wow,
solutions to
thank
our problems, and that's the way to look at it.
Sure. No wonder, Doc. No wonder someone said this is ministerial material. It's coming through. And the fact that he's a pastor at a church now rounds up everything. We see where even the passion is coming from strongly. Now, how do we bridge the gap? As a parting shot between the leadership that believes like the young are lost and the youth that feel misunderstood by the leadership, how do we bring these two parties together so that we can achieve this ambitious goal that we have, wanting to make sure nobody goes hungry in Africa? How do we do that?
For sure, it's not an easy call, but it starts with mindset change. I believe our leaders in the continent ought to look at this 70% of their population as their biggest opportunity. If I were a leader of a nation today, I would say, how much are you investing in the education of your people? Because these are the young people. And it's not only how much, what kind of education?
I see.
Because we need to look into the future. The African Union says by 2063, we need an Africa that is able to decide on matters of their own. And it starts with building capacity of our young people. Secondly, I believe we need to go into conversations, meaningful conversations. Our young people don't only need to sit on the table, they also have even to define the size of the table, the shape of the table, so that they are comfortable to engage, so that we're not just listening from them and we're looking at them as beneficiaries of our programs as leaders. Rather, young people ought to be the partners that we can work together with, show them the way. Because if we show them the way, we are very sure our future as a continent is well and good. So, even in terms of agriculture, let's remember it's not poverty that is synonymous to agriculture, it's wealth. Agriculture is wealth. We need to bring this information to the young people in primary school, in secondary school, to show to everybody that food is life and business in food is business for all the time. Therefore, it's a right thing to do. So I believe we need to change the trajectory of these issues, change the narrative, open up our minds, and be able to start moving forward as a continent that is ready to change its own path because we know we can do it.
I love that. I love the passion. I love the powerful words that you use. But also, I love the fact that, you don't just talk, but you actually practice, what you preach. Preach in capital letters because you really preach as well. Thank you so much for that. I hope, our leaders are listening there. I totally agree with you that, the young people, if we see them as opportunities and we build, their capacity, we invest in them, we have, something great that is coming from the continent. But also something that I'm picking, which stands out, is that you invest in education, but it's not just any type of education. You also advocate for the quality of education, which suggests that you are not only interested, in ticking the box, but you're looking at, the outcome that is coming from the investment, that we are doing. Wow. The time is actually running, and I wish we could speak and speak and speak. There's something that we say here on the show. What is your parting shot? If there's something that we didn't ask and you think it is in your heart to share with us, we didn't even have time to talk about Malawi as a country. But anyway, what is your parting shot? Something that is still in your heart that you want to share with the listeners, and where people can find you as well.
Sure. I think let me finish by talking about Malawi. I've got the Malawi flag with me here. It's a warm heart of Africa because Malawi as a nation has got so much warmth. The people are so warm, smiling, and always receiving visitors. So if you're listening to us, make a decision one of the days to come to Malawi and enjoy the warmth of this nation of Malawi and indeed the warmth of Africa in general. So you can find me on Chapota at nycom.mw. That's my email address. But if you just Google me on Rex Chapota on Facebook, LinkedIn, you'll find me there. Because for me, social media is not just social, it's transformational if you use it positively. And that's what I do in my everyday life. Otherwise, I love the continent of Africa, and I believe we have what it takes to make Africa beautiful and shine. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rex, for really gracing, our platform tonight. It is so beautiful. I feel so inspired. I feel like, whatever problem that, I face, I should just look at it as an opportunity and, pour in the energy that you're actually doing. This is what this show is all about. Ladies and gentlemen, this is unfortunately what we had time for. And thank you so much to DJ Messi, our technical producer. And thank you again to my co-host Mandla Aventina Mabunda and the Bold Move Radio family. And surely our listeners out there, thank you so much. And a big thank you to Rex. We feel so inspired. I'm sure we're going to invite you sometimes, just to have a follow-up, session, because we couldn't finish all the questions that we had. And thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the African Experience, and God bless. Next week, same time, same place, we are bringing you yet another powerhouse of Africa to get inspired. Thank you so much, and God bless.
Thank you.
Streaming 24/7.
24/7.
Bold Moves Radio.
Bold Moves Radio.
Afrika nakupenda sana. Oh, Afrika nakupenda sana.